I was born here in 1949. Actually, I was born at Tullahena, which is over the mountain, but they brought me home from the hospital, and I've been here ever since. It's a good community. There's a lot of people that come out here. A lot of folks say, when I tell them I live at Honobia, they say, "What are you hiding from?" And I said, "I'm not hiding from anything. It's where I grew up." And I said, "Well, we heard that everybody that moves out there is running from something." I don't know about that. I just grew up here. But there's a lot of good people here, and it's like any other community. Different ideas, different cultural backgrounds, different things bring out different things in people. You just have to learn to get along with everybody.
Okay, the name of the shop is Bigfoot Crossing Gift Shop. And the way it got started was the guy down the road about 6 miles is the one that claimed he saw Bigfoot, that it came up to his house. I'm sure you heard the story on TV. Okay, he claimed it looked in his window and all of this. So after that story got out, well, everybody, I could see how many people were into Bigfoot, and I told my friend, I said, hey, let's talk about this Bigfoot thing, and we might get, well, she was the one that first suggested the festival.
And I recognized the need for revenue to be brought into this area of the country, because this country in this part of the mountains they are extremely beautiful. The Kiamishi Mountains are extremely beautiful. And the drives all through these mountains is just so gorgeous, especially in the fall. And we are such an isolated community, and isolated in these mountains, we recognize the need for revenue to be brought into this country.
This will be the 4th year for the festival. And the first year that the chamber is going to be managing it. Before it was done by the Bigfoot organization, and it started at the community center here in Honobia. Last year they had it here at Christ 40 Acres, and it's really an excellent spot for the festival.
We have about 100 acres here. We call it Christ 40 Acres because 40 acres has been fenced off for campgrounds. But it was purchased in 1946 by A.B. McReynolds, the founder of the Kiamishi Mountain Christian Mission. It was purchased for a campground for youth camps. And of course we still use it for youth camps, and that's one of the main things that we have here. But we also have men's retreats, ladies' retreats, family camps, and various community activities that takes place here on the grounds. And so of course now we're having the Bigfoot Festival, which is to benefit the community.
The festival is just barely in Buffalo County. It's in fact part of the grounds is in Pushmataha County. Buffalo County is an old county. It's part of the Indian Nation, Choctaw tribe. And the reason we start having the festival was this is a small area, a rural area. The economy is not that great, but it's beautiful, and felt like it would be a good place to draw tourists.
Now I've had people to come as far away. I hope you cut some of this out. That's no good. As Chicago. I've had people through here from Wyoming, and I'm trying to think, a long ways. And everybody stops. They have to buy a T-shirt, you know. And during the summer, I do really well. During the winter months, it's not so good. But it has really, brought business to me right here in my cabins, because it gives me a chance to advertise my cabins and my RV park. And it just, as far as the Honobia store, now see, they've only been in this is their 2nd year, but she does really well with her stuff, Bigfoot stuff also.
I married a guy that was from here, and he wants to come back here to live all the time, and we're just trying to make a living here. I like the beauty here, and you can just look around, and I like the slow pace, no cell phones. I enjoy that. The furthest place we've had anybody come in is Alaska on the Bigfoot expedition. And then I have people that come from Neshoba and Tallahassee just to eat here. I have ordered the Bigfoot merchandise off of the internet. And then my t-shirts, I had a local boy draw the Bigfoot and the chair on the t-shirts. And then I get them done in Mina. The other merchandise I order from all over. I've gone, and a lot of it I just go buy and bring back and resell. The locals support the store a lot. I enjoy visiting with all of them, and I try to support everything in the community the same as they support me.
Honobia, this little community here at this crossroad in the backwoods, there's 3 rivers come together down here, right here. 3 streams of water. There's Little River, Honobia Creek, and Rock Creek. I think these are all symbolic of spiritual things also. But what my grandfather told me was when they first came here from Mississippi over the Trail of Tears, they would meet in usually around where 3 bodies of water came together, because there was life there. And they would cook something, roast something, dance around the fire, sang spiritual songs, mainly Choctaw hymns and stuff, but a lot of worshiping God, the Great Spirit. And he told me that Honobia pronounced with a nasal sound, which we'd get to H. Honobia is a mind-challenging, uplifting deal. Like, forget the fact that we got run out of Mississippi. Forget the fact that your cows died. All that's in the past. Let's move on to bigger and better things. There's life here, and so they called this place Honobia, and it would be spelled Honobia. This was in the late 1800s.
Like I said earlier, we have several events here on the grounds, but the Bigfoot Festival does attract more people than anything else that we do here. Last year we had about 2,000. We don't know, they're expecting more than that this year. And like I say, it's a joy to have that many people here on the grounds and to be able to visit with them and get acquainted with a lot of new folk and make a lot of new friends. And it's kind of unique. There's a lot of questions that come up. Do we need, somebody will need this or that? And of course, hosting it, we try to meet those needs. So we keep running back and forth quite a bit to try to meet the needs of the different vendors, especially.
There's a lot of grass to mow.
It is a small community, and most of the leaders actually are the same people you see every day. Unlike most people would never see their mayor in a metropolitan. Here you have sit down with coffee with the mayor almost every day and never knew he was the mayor for the town. So the relationship with the Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce is through that a friendship of mine of some of the people that I've known for years here, just sitting around talking, and some of the members asked if I would be interested in helping out on the Bigfoot Festival, since I have spent a lot of time here in my investigative background in doing Bigfoot research in the area. So
after the turn of the century, in the early 1900s, there's a place right up here he showed me where they used to meet on a regular basis for these ceremonies, where they would encourage one another. And it's the evening of this. Tomorrow's another day. Let's eat, and tomorrow we'll start again. And they would do that. But he said there was a medicine man type that lived right up here. And in the early 1900s, this guy came through and killed a guy, and he said he was kind of mentally challenged, nuts. Anyway, he killed the priest, or the spiritual leader, stuck him under the porch, molested his wife and his daughter, tied them on horses and left with them. And there was 2 full-blood Indians over here that he named them, and I've talked to their descendants, and they tell me similar stories. Then there was a white man down here that was my great-granddaddy. They tracked him up the river about 10 miles and found a cabin that he was holed up in. Obviously, the horses were tied up there, so they went to Octavia, another little community, and got the constable, and come back, and the next morning they accosted him. In the gunfight, they shot him like 21 times before they finally got him down. He just kept fighting. But anyway, a psycho in Choctaw would be Honobia. Ubi is kill, and Ono is a mentally deranged mindset. So Honobia would be like saying Hannibal Lecter, a psycho. And from that time, the fact that he had killed the holy man, people would pronounce the name of this place instead of Honobia, it'd say Honobia. So we have 2 different pronunciations, 2 different deals, but they're both consistent.
Katie Cogburn was the president of the Bigfoot Festival, and the previous 2 years, which was the first 2 years of the festival, they had it at the community center, but it outgrew the community center. There just wasn't enough parking. And since it is an arts and crafts festival, and since it does benefit our community, she had come and asked if we could use the campgrounds for the Bigfoot Festival. And we said, of course, that would be good for the community, be good for the festival, and it'd be good for our mission to have people here on our grounds to become acquainted with what we do. which is, like she said, basically start and assist churches here in the area. So yes, it was a very positive response to the request to have the Bigfoot Festival here.
It's 7:30 in the morning, 7:35 in the morning on what day is this? October the 5th. Getting ready to go down to Honobia for the Bigfoot Festival. It's very early. We're gonna truck off in the woods, see what we can find. Should be a enjoyable weekend. Mr. Daniel's asleep here in the back of the car. Oh, he's just now waking up. What are you doing? Well, it's about 9:20, 9:30. We got a little lost. We're at Clayton Lake State Park right now. Hopefully we'll get back on track to get to Honobia. I don't know what it's called. So we'll be there soon.
Bigfoot Honobia.
Yeah, that was perfect.
The first year is mostly arts and crafts and storytelling. Second year, arts and crafts and storytelling. Last year we had our first conference, and that went over well. So this year we've extended the conference, put more emphasis on the Bigfoot conference, and Dr. Jeff Meldrum is going to be our keynote speaker this year, and he is the guru of Bigfoot, and so I think that from now on it's just going to grow and get better.
I work for the Latimer County Extension at Wilburton, Oklahoma as an extension educator. I work with farmers and ranchers and predominantly 4-H youth with all types of leadership programs, agricultural type programming. I'm here today. We have a booth. Set up here today on Friday for a hamburger booth, a fundraiser for the Latimer County 4-H. And tomorrow we'll have a hamburger booth as well, and then we'll have a child ID booth, taking fingerprints, doing DNA, taking a digital picture, and giving that information to the parent in case the child would be lost. We do that as a community service. I guess my favorite part of it would be, listening to the folks talk about Bigfoot and whether you believe in it or whether you don't. And I've actually seen one year there was two fellows almost got into a confrontation over whether they believed in it or not. But it's a lot of fun. It gets a lot of people out here. If you can get, regardless of if you believe in it or not, if you can get 4,000 or 5,000 people to come to an activity, spend their money, have a good time, why not do it?
What I enjoy most about the festival is the shopping, the food, the different music, entertainment, seeing as many of the people enjoying themselves as we see.
What I enjoy about it, of course, is I like the food, but the Indian tacos is my favorite. But I also like the music. I like to go for the music programs in the evenings, and that's just good to see this many people here on the grounds. I see a lot of folk that I knew. Some of them I grew up with here in the mountains, and a lot of them have come back for this festival, and it's good to see old friends.
Well, I kind of grew up in the sticks and, always had fascination with Bigfoot and creatures, out there. And so we kind of got a look around on the internet and saw something about the Sasquatch Festival at Honobia, which I knew that'd be in the mountains or whatever. So we come up here, check it out, and, see if maybe we could find something interesting. Just got some souvenirs, had a good old time.
Sure. And how far away did you come from?
Well, I live in McAllister, so it was probably a little over an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, somewhere around there.
So what do you think about all this Bigfoot stuff and everything?
It's pretty neat. It's not bad for a good social gathering, and I'm sure they get a lot of information in the public speaker and all the little shops and stuff for crafts. So you could really learn up on Bigfoot on things if you really had no idea.
What do you guys think about all the Bigfoot stuff? Do you think there's a Bigfoot out there?
Yeah.
Do you? Have you ever seen a Bigfoot? You did. You saw a Bigfoot?
Yeah. Just today.
Just today? What was he doing?
He was in grass and he was just walking away and he just was going that way. Then he's trying to get my dog and he barked at him and he bites the Bigfoot.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Currently going to festivals throughout the Southeast. We're actually based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We figured going to festivals would be a good way to get our name, our image out there amongst people, who are interested in outdoor gear. That's eventually the way we're going to go with this. This whole concept now is just about brand recognition, and eventually we want to gear this more toward the outdoor lifestyle, camping, hiking, etc. Products become more rugged, more durable, eco-friendly, hempware, organic cotton, eventually geared toward the whole outdoor living lifestyle. But using Sasquatch is the central theme, spokesperson, if you will, for the outdoor lifestyle. We don't think that there's really anything out there like that yet. A lot of people use an image of Bigfoot on several different products, but we're actually trying to create a brand centered around the whole legend of Sasquatch, tying it with rugged outdoor gear materials that people use outdoors. So in our eyes, he is a true outdoorsman, the ultimate survivor man. So that's what we're trying to bring together here with Squatchwear. What brought us here, actually, is I went to a festival this summer in Arkansas, and a lot of people saw what we had here, and they asked me if I was from Honobia, or Honobia, how they pronounce it here. I didn't know anything about it, but they said, you guys have to go there, with the products you sell. So, I kind of learned, again, from one festival, people informed me of another place where they thought people might like what we're doing. So that's what brought us here. The reason we choose to come to areas like this is because I think that's the whole core of the excitement or interest starts there in these small towns with people who've actually had encounters or seen things. It's not a mainstream. You have to come to places, that are, like you said, a little bit more off the map in that sense to get those true stories and the real life feel of it.
The local Bigfoot deal, one of the first encounters that anybody had was, it's been 10, 15 years ago. There was some guys cooking meth in a rented cabin that lived somewhere in East Texas or somewhere. Had rented a place, and they were making dope, and one of them looked out the window, and Bigfoot standing on the front porch. Looking through the window, he got a gun and shot at him, got the cabin on fire, burned it up, wrecked one pickup trying to get out, and then they ran off. And, they told that there was some big hairy monster out there.
It just occurred to me, is there a specific, I use the word Bigfoot and Sasquatch and whatnot, I'm not sure what language Sasquatch is, but is there a Choctaw word for Bigfoot?
The Choctaw word that
we talked about that a minute ago.
My grandfather word told me it was Imahaxium. If you say Bigfoot, it's Iichito, which is literally Bigfoot. But he said the name was that other name, which means forget. And I asked him about, what's the deal on that, and he said, well, a lot of people that's out in the woods that see him, or emotionally troubled. They got a lot of stuff going on, looking for something. And when they see him, then they start focusing on him and forget about their problem. Or they may be doing something they need to forget about, like the deal in the dope deal. Forget about this.
I'm a senior field researcher, co-founder of the MABRC, and I'm also a driver-operator for a fire department outside of Kansas City. Actually, it's a big conference this year, even compared to last year. We've got a lot of well-heeled speakers backed up in research, and there's a lot of people spending some quality time out there in the woods and on their own dime. And I can tell you, when you're talking about your own dime, you can't even put a dollar amount on how much you'll time away from family, time away from work, and money on equipment to spend out in quest of a passion. So, well, this conference is special because we actually this was the first year we actually had a budget, and we were able to secure Dr. Jeff Meldrum to come down here from Idaho State University. And as you all know, Jeff Meldrum is a prominent figure in a lot of the Bigfoot research documentaries.
My training is in anatomical sciences with an emphasis in physical anthropology, which means I teach human anatomy in the health professions programs at Idaho State University. And my research program involves the evolutionary morphology of the human locomotor system, or how it is we came to walk on two legs as we do. I think the event that clinched it for me, that really drew me into this subject, this question, from a scientific and academic perspective, was the opportunity to examine and witness a long line of footprints in the foothills of the Blue Mountains outside of Walla Walla, Washington, in southeastern Washington State.
Generally, people that first come into this field want to see one. I mean, they want to see one so desperately, and I was the same way. I had to see one, and I was doing everything possible to see one. I had to be in the locations that they were at. I read the sightings reports, and I tried to dissect those sightings reports to find out what could I do. If there was one in a campsite, what was happening in that campsite? Well, the campsite was empty. Well, then I need to be in a campsite that appears empty. And so I read these reports, and I said, I got to be that guy that has them. And so I did everything I could to see one. Once you see one, I think it changes how you research, because you're no longer, after seeing one, and you've proved it to yourself when you see one, then you go into where you just delve into their behaviors. I mean, you try to understand how can you increase your chances of drawing one of these in by finding consistent things that they're curious about, consistent smells, consistent foods, consistent baits, consistent tree knocks.
Most reports occur after dark, so it's led over the years that most of the activity for the investigators are to go out at night and see what they hear or possibly may see. What we do is sometimes we keep the vehicles to a minimum, but we pack the vehicles with enough investigators and researchers, that way that they can cover an area if they had to. What we're doing is basically we're going to set up here and make some audio calls and see if we can't get responses from different directions to see if there's any activity in the area. Also see if we have any movement near us, that maybe once we came up here that there was a Sasquatch in the area that heard us come up the road to come down and investigate the reason why we're here, because probably most likely 30 days out of the month there's probably nobody up here, and when they hear a vehicle they're probably coming to investigate. The verbal calls is to project sound at a distance to see if there's anyone going to respond, as far as a Sasquatch, to respond to the same calls. Well, we did some whoops. We got no response. And a long howl, no response. Usually at the end, with all else tails, we'll do a Tahoe scream. In our opinion or theory, the Tahoe scream is kind of a distress, so that may bring either they're hearing you make the call, and they're just not listening and not participating. And that Tahoe scream usually somewhat gets some type of reaction, either from coyotes or owls or from something.
The reason it's green is because
So,
green is
a lot of the reports that's submitted and other investigators talking to witnesses, that majority are usually campers, hikers, or hunters. They're in the woods, they're not there to look for Bigfoot or had any knowledge of it, and something happens to them. Because if you kind of act like you're not oblivious to the sounds around you, and you're just paying attention to what you're doing, and you're looking at the fire, and you're dealing with your iPod or phone or whatever you're doing, a lot more of a chance of something getting a little bit closer, because it's realizing that you're not paying attention to the woods. It could be over here making little sounds to test you to see if you turn your head for 5 seconds. So it may actually get a little bit closer because it realizes you're not even paying attention. So what we're doing on the personal note or outside of an expedition with a large group, in your group of a carload of just your friends, is you're doing exactly what these other people were doing that got an encounter. So, but you're coming in with a little bit more education and knowledge, knowing what you're doing. So, but you're going to act like everybody else does. Definitely pulling their music's playing, and you're pulling the cooler out and the food out. And every now and then you hear noise. Look around like anybody else would. So, and then sometimes actually it pays off.
I've got night vision scopes. I've got parabolic microphones with digital recorders connected to them, and I have recorded some screams that would blow your mind.
Are those the ones we're hearing over here?
No, I've got some on our website that we don't have on that CD, but it made me squirt out an egg one night. I was sitting in the trailer, and you hear a tree knock, and then a scream that just, really, it's one of the few times I'm thinking, it's coming at me like I owe it money. I think it's about paying attention. Me being a firefighter, trained to be a firefighter, I'm running into fires when other people are running out.
Right.
So right from the get-go, I think a little differently than other people.
Yeah.
Pay attention to details. Don't be so fearful.
They're probably around all the time. Folks don't even know it.
Right. They have the ability to be within 10, 20 yards, and they have a tendency to remain motionless. They expect you not to see them, and then when you walk on by, then they'll move on.
Interesting.
They are very adept at stealth, and the way they moved into my truck, and then I've heard it on many occasions in the woods, is how they will inch forward and then stop, inch forward and then stop. That tells me they are taking in everything they see. They're moving forward and then just looking around.
Unfathomable amount of patience.
If they see a camera on the tree, they're going to avoid it. I know they take in everything they see, and that's their living room. So you can't go in and put up a bunch of cameras and not expect them not to see it.
And they know this doesn't belong here.
Right. Well, plus we found evidence up by Lake Oolaga where we got that picture. You saw the picture on the other side of my trailer where we got that side of the Bigfoot.
Uh-huh.
That's by Lake Oolaga. We found a pile of acorn meats up there. This is really a revelation of the intelligence of these animals. We found a pile of acorn meats. Something took the time to hull about 80 to 100 acorn meats. No hulls anywhere. Something brought these meats and stacked them up in a Christmas tree pile by the creek. And on the other side of the creek, it went up 8 or 10 foot. Well, the landowner called me one time. He says, "Randy, you're not going to believe this." I said, "What?" He said, "A hunter, he sells hunting leases. He's had more hunters than run off his property saying they saw something or whatever." But he said that a hunter heard a big ruckus on the bend of the creek down there. So he went down there, and he said there was a dead deer ripped in half, hindquarters ripped off, and it looked like something had set up on top of that bluff and jumped off where it ate those acorns. If this animal baits their prey,
oh wow,
that's what we do. They are not going to step out in front of a camera just because we put out an apple.
There have been quite a number of rather stunning discoveries of large mammals in various corners of the globe, to the point that at the end of our last century, editors of prominent scientific magazines commented that cryptozoology really was coming into its own, and that it should probably come out of the cold. The discovery of Homo floresiensis, or the hobbit, also prompted editors of scientific magazines to suggest that perhaps the evidence for relic populations of other apes, or even early hominids or later hominids, such as the Yeti, the Yeren, or the Sasquatch, or remnant Neanderthals, might have some merit and should be given more attention.
I know about 3 different people, at least 3, that's lived here all their life. They've been in the woods, know the mountains like the back of your hand, and all 3 of them says he just don't leave no tracks. Don't find no sign, and they've went where people have seen him, like around the houses that people saw him, and these guys are good trackers. I mean, they've done it all their life. They don't find nothing. No physical sign, and I understand that a lot of people do, but to my knowledge, they haven't found a physical sign around here, and I'm convinced that it is a manifestation of spirit, and there's a reason for it. Our times or stuff that's going on, I'm pretty convinced that this is a spiritual being. He shows himself for a reason.
We were told by an Indian elder to do single tree knocks. He said one tree knock is a locator call. That's why you'll occasionally hear one knock up on the ridge somewhere. That's one Bigfoot doing a tree knock, and if you listen, you might hear one off in the distance of another one, and that's 2 Bigfoot saying, okay, here I am. All of these trees in here are the ones that I was whacking on. Maybe one of these. Something like that. Just a nice solid hardwood.
To avoid the criticism that this is merely pseudoscience, I think it's very critical that investigators, including amateur enthusiasts who are serious about collecting data and investigating, forging into this question, need to approach it very rationally, very objectively, very critically, and apply with as much rigor as possible the scientific method. And that is that they document their evidence, they avoid undue speculation and drawing of inferences based on questionable circumstances. We don't want the impression to be had that enthusiasts go out and every bump in the night, every falling acorn is attributed to Sasquatch activity. Well, recently we took a somewhat bold step of assigning an ichnotaxonomic name, or nomen, to the footprints according to the conventions of ichnotaxonomy, in which traces and footprints of usually extinct animals whose track maker are not understood or recognized can be named and therefore cataloged, discussed, talked about, and so forth. We attached a name, or I attached a name of Anthropoidopes ameriborealis to a type specimen, that being the footprints that were cast by Roger Patterson at the Patterson-Gimlin film site in Northern California in 1967, and the associated tracks that were cast by Bob Titmus shortly thereafter.
Well, as far as the Georgia hoax incident, we were as disappointed as anybody. When they announced that they had a body, I so wanted it to be true. And that's coming from somebody who has seen one. So the next logical step for me is to produce a body for science. I mean, not me personally present a body, but somebody present a body. I mean, I told my family, I told all the guys I work with at the fire station, I was like, at the end of next month, man, you guys are going to see it. You know, I was so sorely disappointed, so ready to go to that next step of science backing us, backing the research. And I don't really feel that it knocked us back a step or two, because we've always been on the fringe, of science. But it did reveal one thing. There was a nationwide interest in a Bigfoot body being found. Hoax or not, there were people clamoring at the carrot. So it'll happen.
There's a lot of things today, and a lot of folks talking about the second coming of Jesus, maybe the end of the world, all that. I'm not a doomsday preacher by no means. I believe God is life, and He'll correct things. And the Christ actually is an anointed spirit. Jesus manifested that physically, but it was a spirit within Him. And John the Baptist was a forerunner of that, and I think we're going to see the manifestation of a anointed spirit in people in our lifetime, in our generation. This is why we're seeing so many manifestations of Him. Correcting the deal.
Do you believe that there is an unidentified large primate in North America?
Well, I'm often asked if I believe in Sasquatch or if I believe in an unidentified primate in North America, and I sometimes resort to a brief sermonette, which is basically that from a scientific perspective, it's irrelevant what I believe, but rather it is my conviction on the basis of the evidence at hand that there is something out there. To suggest belief in most people's mind connotes a position of faith, meaning the acceptance of the existence or the acceptance of something in the absence of conclusive proof. And while we do lack that conclusive proof, there is a tremendous body of data that has been marshaled and has been analyzed and assessed by experts from many different disciplines that suggests that at the very least this endeavor is worthwhile and should be pursued and doesn't require an appeal to a position of belief.
It's funny, man. You get out here and you just get kind of wrapped up in it, and your mind starts playing tricks when people are like, yeah, we've seen stuff around here. And they're really passionate, and it just, and you look out at this crazy, all these trees and all this foliage, and you just think, like, your mind starts playing tricks, and you think you hear and see things, and it's weird. It's weird. We've been out here for like 10 minutes, and you already kind of get goosebumps in this area, just thinking about something that might be out there that you can't see. It's just weird. Ghosts and goblins and stuff.
Now, did we expect to see Bigfoot? Not exactly, but there are things that go bump in the night sometimes.
The reason for the Bigfoot Festival, I've attended conferences as well as Katie, who was one of the founders of the Bigfoot organization, and they said, take what you have, use what you have. That's what you market. You don't try to be something that you're not. You market what you have, and we have Bigfoot.
Sisters crying